Hey everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday Ask Me Anything Q&A session. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. You can learn more about us at deltacx.com. We're a full-service CX and UX consultancy doing projects, training, and lots of consulting. So, welcome. I'm here to take your question. I'm totally live. You can ask your questions in the live chat on YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn. Yeah, that thing. And you can also send your questions anonymously, which some of you prefer. Hey, Mike. You can go to deltacx.com/links, and there will be a link there for, hi, Anna Lucia. Not for her, but there will be a link there for asking a question anonymously if you want to do that. I have to apologize that my voice is still a little raw, and possibly more raw than it was last time you saw me, since we went to a bunch of concerts and we sang our butts off. So I'm a little hoarse, but we shall power through. And if you are a mid-level or higher Patreon member, you can ask your questions in our Discord in the special Q for AMA channel, which of course would put you at the top of the list. But right now there is no list. So if you have a question, you will be answered first. Yes, that is my mouse moving around the screen. Nothing I can do about that. So just a reminder, we've got lots of free webinars coming up. Go to cxcc.to/events, and you can sign up for free ones, a couple of paid ones in there, but mostly free ones. And of course, make sure you're subscribing here to our new YouTube channel, CX-CC. And who isn't a Patreon member yet? You can join for free, or you can join as a paid member for as little as $1 American a month. So we have no questions yet, which means if you ask one, you will be the first. This is live. Hopefully I'm not missing any questions. Let me log into LinkedIn another way and see if I'm missing any questions. Let's see. I have to join my own stream and see. Okay, no, we have no questions here yet, so I'm not missing any. If we don't get any questions in the next 5 minutes, we'll just wind it down and say, thanks for dropping by, but it looks like nobody has any questions today. So, any questions today? Oh, my shirt is being green screened. I am transparent. Oh yeah, we forgot to thank our patrons. Oh no. So while we wait for questions, let's thank all of the people who are donating to the channel and getting some perks back through our Patreon, our juniors, mid-levels, and seniors. Thanks to everybody for being a part of the community. Z-Hour asks, what is the CX? Can you be more specific? Do you mean like what is CX or something else? Because otherwise it sounds like half a question, like what is the CX of something? So I'm just checking, do you mean CX in general? And I guess my other question would be, do you know or do you not know? Just out of curiosity, like how deep do I have to go on this? Harkaran says, is there a faster way for observational research? Very interesting question, considering we are often under pressure to go fast. So we'll have to come back to Z-Hour's question if we get more information. In general, okay, so then we will make Harkaran's question second. So let me just write it down so we have it handy. Okay, good morning. I'm a UX writer. I've been disheartened by AI and GPT, lack of content designer jobs being advertised. I don't know if that's a question, but I agree. Okay, so let's get the first question up there first. What is CX? And you can all give me your definitions if you'd like to join in. So hold on, let me get this ready. This is a one-person show. All right, what is CX? So in general, CX is the customer experience. And I believe that when we do CX work well, it's the same as UX work. After all, we can fight over who's a customer and who's a user, but ultimately there are lots of different people with lots of different roles who all fit into our ecosystem. We have to sell to these people in some way. We have to make them happy in some way. We hope they are loyal in some way. So whether we think of it as customer experience or user experience, I would say that this is our strategy and our tactics around focusing on the target audiences in our ecosystem, understanding them through research, understanding their problems, their needs, their tasks, and then designing products, services, experiences, solutions, innovations, whatever it might be, that will meet or exceed their needs based on the tasks they're trying to do in a system like ours, or a hotel like ours, or whatever it might be. It can be any sort of product or service. So I don't like to fight with people over who's a customer and who's a user. Ultimately, these are all people we need in our ecosystem. They're all people we have to make happy. They're all people we hope will give us money, directly or indirectly. And so there you go. So ultimately, that is the customer experience, and we want to make sure that we are deliberately designing and creating it to be 5 stars out of 5 of awesomeness. Otherwise, we run the risk that people aren't happy and they don't want to stay and they don't want to come back and they don't want to give us more money, and then that's the end of that. Let me know if you have a follow-up question. Our next question was, is there a faster way for observational research? So what I found is that if you think about research, and I don't know if I have my, let's see if I have my, I didn't try to set up my effects today. I'm in a little slow motion, but let's see if they're working. Let's see. No, my effects aren't working today. So normally if we think about all of the stages of research, we have planning, recruiting to make sure we have the right number of right people. We have the sessions that we're going to run to ask people questions and watch them do one or more things. We have the analysis and synthesis. We have the reporting, where we're going to do all of our documents and diagrams and video clips and explain to people what we learned and saw, distill that into insights, and then give them actionable suggestions and our recommendations. So what can be done faster there if we still care about quality? We can always do things faster if we don't care about quality, and we can rush out something that isn't that great. But I'm going to assume, since you're asking me on this channel, that you care about quality and you still want it to be really good, if not great. In that case, one thing that you can do is sometimes we don't, thank you for that. I'm glad it was a good explanation. Sometimes we don't go as deep in the analysis depending upon what it is. There's sometimes where you just have to spend weeks on analysis because this is mission critical to the company. You can't cut corners on it. So question 1 would be, what type of research is this and how mission critical is it to the company? The more mission critical it is, the more I would want you to spend time on this and not imagine that research has to go faster. That's when you have to speak with your teammates about how much time you need to do your work well. Don't they want good work? Sometimes they don't, and then I want to know why. Why don't you want good research? Why don't you want my best work? Why do you want the least I can do? And what are the risks of cutting those corners and working from the least I can do, which is not my best? So sometimes we cut some corners in the analysis and synthesis. For example, you might have 30 hours of video. Do you watch all of them back? Sometimes you do. Hi, Faye. Sometimes you don't watch all of them back. So that is something where if you feel like you took great notes, you had multiple note takers, they took great notes, you feel, you know what, we've probably captured everything live, we don't have to watch these videos back. Okay, you just saved yourself days or weeks of watching videos back. That can definitely help research go faster. Notice I said multiple note takers. Another way to make research go faster is to put more people on it 100% allocation. Not you at 50% and this person 3 hours a week and this person's going to help out on Tuesdays. That is not a good team. That is not a good way to make research go faster. Morning, Janice. That is not going to be the best way to make the research go faster. So at my company, we try to do things in teams of 3. That way you have a lot of smart people working on this. They could be working on the same task or different tasks. And that way we can make research go a lot faster, because if everyone is qualified to run the sessions, then we have 1, 2, 3 people who might be running sessions. Now that takes less time. We can do more in a week. What about the analysis? Certainly takes less time if we have 2 or 3 people on it than 1. And again, imagining everyone is 100% allocated. So these are all things that you might have to fight for. You might say, but I'm on 3 projects. And you have to say, okay, but when I do this observational research, synthesis, you can't really skimp too much on synthesis, because analysis is, of course, analyzing what we heard and saw. Synthesis is where we bring common things together to see where there are patterns or themes or deeper insights. So can you cut corners on that? Again, you can cut corners on everything. You can meet 1 person instead of 30. Good. So be careful. I would say you probably can't cut too many corners on synthesis, though sometimes if you do really great analysis, you feel like you've also done the synthesis. But again, that's going to be personal style. Sometimes we ask ourselves if we can observe fewer people. Normally, I don't like to do that. The fewer people you meet, the more likely it is that you really, we're blipping a little bit, sorry. The fewer people we meet, the more likely it is that we are not getting a good representation of the target audience. So if you think we should be meeting 30 people, meeting 5, it will definitely go faster, but it will definitely sacrifice the quality of your research, and it could mean invalid research, bad research, research that gives us the wrong information, because we're supposed to be researching with a representative number of the target audience. So if we go too small or low on that, we run the risk that we didn't meet the right number of the right people, especially if we want to make sure we've met people with disabilities or accessibility needs or certain diagnoses or conditions, or people of different age groups, genders, ethnicities, socioeconomic. So the more buckets of people you want to make sure are represented in your study, the more people you have to meet. I'm planning a study at my current job that's got 40 participants, and I'm planning a study at my current job that has 245 participants. Yeah, it's going to take me months, and yeah, I'm trying to build a team to make that happen as fast as possible, but it is what it is. So ultimately, to me, it's about finding the balance between speed and quality. If we try to go too fast with research and we try to cut too many corners and skip steps or people, we run the risk that it was all kind of garbage. And I think if we give people garbage information, we're really in trouble. They're going to think our job isn't worth it. They're going to think our research isn't worth it. They're going to think we don't provide value. So we really have to think of that long-term arc of, if we skimp our research down too small, we run the risk that someone was like, yeah, you're just telling me what I already knew because you didn't dig deep enough to give them something they didn't know. Or you spent weeks on that and that's all you got. So we don't want to end up there. Think about your future self and think about the world in which right now UX has never been in a worse spot, in my opinion. I would rather be asking for more time and or more people than to return results where people go, yeah, we knew that, or why'd you spend so long on just these 4 things, or whatever it is. So definitely fight for some of this stuff. Let me know if you have a follow-up question. Okay, so we have something from LinkedIn user. Sorry, it's not showing me your name. You can pretend you are anonymous, and we'll also check in a moment for anonymous questions. All right, let's bring that font down. All right, this says, good morning, Debbie. I'm a UX writer and I've been disheartened by AI and GPT. I've noticed the lack of UX writer and content designer jobs being advertised. As a follow-up, have you seen success in AI and GPT providing clients with effective words that, in your words, meet or exceed their expectations in solving customer issues? So this is a great comment and question, and I certainly agree. And I think one of the key problems here is that, again, we have to think about standards. What are our standards? Did we just need some text and we don't really care too much about how that text sounds or how much it makes sense to our users based on their knowledge or reading level or language skills? Then sure, anybody or anything can write your text. If we don't care about does it match our brand voice, then sure, anybody or anything can write your text. Oh, good. Thank you, Harkaran. So we have to start by asking ourselves, what are our standards? It could be standards for research. It could be standards for content. And so if our standards are low, if we just care that words end up on the screen, then sure, GPT can write it, AI can write it, there will be words on the screen. Check the box, we put words on the screen. But if we really do care about outcomes, if we really do care about the customer experience, if we have company values that say things like empathy and we care about customers and things like that, then our standards should be higher than did something come up with words and did words end up on the screen. So I would be recommending that while some people might use AI or GPT for text ideas or text correction or things like that, it does not replace the job of a content strategist or a UX writer, because there is still a human element here. The example I always like to use is from my days working at Macy's in America, where I worked very closely with an absolutely fantastic copywriter who I miss a lot. Her name was Donna. And we used to get some copy and content from third-party vendors. Like Macy's sold things from Kate Spade. We would get things from Kate Spade's company, and it would end up on the website, whether or not it was good writing, because nobody at Macy's wanted to bother to rewrite it. But sometimes we would look at it and we'd be like, this doesn't help the user. So you would have copy that was like, oh, these plates are so beautiful. They'll remind you of summer fireflies and picnics by lakes and, oh, such beautiful plates. And then I was like, okay, but can you put them in the dishwasher? Can I put them in the microwave? Like, congratulations on your fireflies and your summer picnics, but like, here's the stuff that I, as a user or customer or consumer or shopper, need to know. And that wasn't there. And obviously someone worked very hard to write that, but they wrote it from the perspective of romance copy or kind of selling the feeling of a plate without selling the utility of a plate. And I think that's where a good content strategist and writer can help us balance the sometimes flowery ways that we like to present things and the more action-packed ways that users sometimes want things. And making sure we're writing for our audience. I remember being asked to review the site of a very famous Fortune 10 company, and I said, if your target audience are mostly developers, you've either written over their heads or you've just written stuff that they don't care about. They can't. I'm reading this site. I can't imagine any developer cares about this. So this is common when we don't allow humans to do jobs that relate to human interactions. There are things that AI and robots will be good at, but when it comes to anything that we might call empathy or really writing for how people think and behave, AI is not there yet. So I am also disheartened with you. Let's see. Okay, so I don't have a question via the anonymous way, but I do have a crappy email from a company that I've been fighting. Honey, I'm going to forward you another email. In short, they did not give us the number. So, talk about CX, y'all. I've been fighting a company for over a week who claims that they won't deliver to me because my house doesn't exist. That is bad news for my house and for the couriers who come here every day and bring me packages. We can't seem to get this package, which is a giant middle finger from me. I will never be buying from this company again. What I will do is I will buy from the American company and I will fly back with it. There is no way I'm good. And all over the website it says, we are the Italian company, but we are unrelated. We are a separate company. And I'm thinking, you're lucky. You're lucky, because I would love to complain to the Home Office about this Italian company. Awful. Awful. And I had such good experiences with the American branch, so I'll just buy from America. Or I'll see if some other country will ship to me, because these people are terrible. And that is part of the customer experience and the user experience. So there. So welcome to, thank you. So welcome to Q&A, AMA. I do this every Tuesday. I'm going to start mixing it up. I don't know if I have put that in the calendar yet, but I am planning to start varying what times we do these. Sometimes they will be at 3 p.m. Italy time, and sometimes they will be at 11 p.m. Italy time, so that we can catch different time zones. I don't think I've set that up yet, but best to watch cxcc.to/events or our Slack or Discord communities in the live events channel. That will let you know when these are coming. Or, of course, if you're joining us on LinkedIn and it says Debbie is live, then you'll also know. So if there's no other questions, we can certainly wind down our adventure today. Oh, hi, Paula. Let's see. Paula says, how are you? I'm a little hoarse, but I'm otherwise okay. How are you? I've been following you for some months. I've been working for 2 years now. I feel like I'm stuck. Do you have tips for me? It's not a question about CX. No, it doesn't have to be. This is AMA. Ask me anything. But Paula, I'm definitely going to need more information. When you say I feel stuck and do I have tips for you, stuck in what way? Not finding a job, not finding good jobs, not doing good work, not sure how good your work is. I can't even guess what I'm supposed to give you tips about, so I'm going to need more context, please. Context is everything, y'all. But while we get more information from Paula, we can put this up on the screen and add to it when we get more details. Because I don't know. I don't know what to give tips about. And y'all are usually 20 to 40 seconds delayed. So if it looks like I'm sitting here and nothing's happening, that's just because of the delay between us. I am not ignoring you. It will eventually pop up. And you'll also see how much later it comes up for me than when you wrote it, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, while we wait for Paula, if anybody else has other questions, please do ask them. We'll get them on the list. Otherwise, I'm usually here an hour if we have an hour's worth of questions. If not, we can end early. Let's check Discord. Anybody asking in the AMA channel? No. Paula says, sorry. That's okay. Don't worry about being sorry. Just give me a little bit more information so I can try to be helpful. Otherwise, my tips will be extremely generic and probably not answer the question as you might hope. And Harkaran has another question. Let's see. So Paula, while we wait for you, we're going to put Harkaran's question up, and then we'll get Paula up here when we get more information. Okay, so this question is, what are your thoughts on social listening, observing past material compared to conducting a new observational study? It's not a replacement. It's just not. If you're hungry for pizza and you can't find pizza and you go eat some Chinese food, all right, you will live. You will be okay. Maybe you won't have the pizza you dreamed of, but you'll still have a good lunch and you will eat and you will not die of not eating. Research isn't the same. Very often we have so many methods that it's really important to pick the right method for what you're trying to learn. If what you're trying to learn is best learned observationally, from watching people doing things, seeing how their tasks go, seeing where their tools and knowledge and workarounds and obstacles are, there's nothing that replaces that. You can do social listening. You can do both. You can still go out and read tweets. Nothing stops you from reading tweets. But is it the same as watching people do the task? No, not even close. These methods aren't even competing with each other. It's not like, and it's not like you only have to do one. You can do social listening or voice of the customer and read your tweets, read your posts, read your online ratings and reviews, read your app reviews. You can and should do all of that. It's information, but it doesn't always tell you who, what, where, why, when, and how. If you see a bunch of angry tweets, I hate you, like let's take the company I'm complaining about today. I can't believe I ordered from you. You haven't even delivered to me yet. You sent me grumpy, threatening emails about my shipment. I can't believe it. Now, if you see that, you can go, whoa, something's cooking here. I smell smoke. But where's the fire? And what does the fire look like? We don't know what's going wrong for me. You don't know what my problem is, so there's no way that you could analyze it well and be able to say, ooh, here's what might help Debbie because of the problem she had. You don't even know. So the social listening can give us some clues about where we want to do some of that deeper observational and interview research, but it usually doesn't give us the whole story. And Paula will get to you next. Keep it coming. So observing past material, if you have previous studies that are good and relevant and were conducted well and planned well and with the right number of people from the right audiences and blah, 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 sure, check if any of our past research answers our questions. But if our past research is really old, or as in pandemic or before, like, we did a survey 3 years ago, too old. World has changed. If it's a survey when you really needed observations, doesn't help. Like, for example, I've worked with a company where I said, okay, what research are you working from? Oh, we did a focus group with 12 people. Okay, but they're trying to build something for like an audience of 200,000. And so to have done one focus group with 12 people and they didn't even ask the greatest questions, that just tells me we're really not working from good data, and we're going to have to do the larger study to give us information. Social media research can be nice to complement, but should not be the main research method and people involved. What person X told your colleague last year might not be updated. Yes, very true. So again, nothing stops you from doing all of these methods, but I would only pick the methods that are likely to answer our questions. If you haven't seen episode, what was it, everybody, 197? If you haven't seen episode 197 on our YouTube channel, and let me double check that that's the right number. So if you want to find the episode, you can go to YouTube. You can put in CX space CC, because our channel is CX-CC, either way. And then put in, where is it? 196. Sorry. 196. This is an exercise I run with my larger team to learn what we don't know. And that way, not only does it help you plan research methods and research questions or tasks, but you can make sure that you are bringing value by making sure that you are answering people's questions. These are the questions your team had, and these are the questions you can get answered with your research. Sometimes the answers to some of the questions are found in existing data, like how many people use phones? Okay, we'll know that from our analytics. We don't have to run new research to do that. We can just check our analytics. But most of it will inform you as to what you need to put into your research. So check that out, episode 196. LinkedIn user, thanks for your input. Okay, so this is back to our AI person. I'm thinking about branching out into consulting work since full-time and contract gigs are sparse. Okay, so you have a fresh question. Let's answer Paula first, and then we'll get to your follow-up question from our GPT AI person. Okay. All right. I think I've got Paula's question now in full. Paula, you can let us know if you missed anything. Here we go. All right. I feel stuck in a way that it seems like I can't get things done. Like I'm stuck on the job as a don't let me talk to real customers. It's a very specific product. There is not much I can get from personal research. Is there a way to get my research done anyway? I did benchmarking and secondary research, but it feels like it's not enough. Yeah, so we talk about this a lot on this channel. And the first question would be, how or why are they blocking you from doing better research? And really, why? If you are there as a researcher, if they understand that research is important enough to have hired a researcher, why don't they want you to give them the information that would really help them? You might also want to run a discovery phase knowledge quadrant, which was episode 196 that I just talked about. So again, go to YouTube, CX-CC 196. Just search for that. It'll come right up. And it's an hour-long webinar lesson. It was one of our live event webinars. And I would say that's a good exercise to run with your group. Learn what questions they have. Remind them that, hey, in order to strategize, prioritize, decide, figure out where we're going with products or features, what do we wish we knew? What do we wish we knew about people, users, resellers, partners, internal things, technology? What do we wish we knew? That will help guide you, and then you'll say, okay, now I need 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to do the right type of research, interviews, observations, whatever it is, to analyze that research and get everybody back a report for that. And if they go, oh, that takes too long, we go, then you run the risk of moving forward without knowing all of the things that you put on this board, because the DPKQ is a Miro board, and all of these unanswered questions will be staring at everybody. And you say, then if we don't answer these questions, we run the risk of moving forward with opinions, guesses, and assumptions, and hoping that any of this is right for our users. And if you've been there long enough to know about a time when people guessed and it was wrong for users, say, and hey, sometimes we don't always guess right. Remember last year's project when we hoped that people would like blah, 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 and then nobody used it or everybody complained about it? We run risk when we use guesses versus taking the time to know. So much of Agile says we want to get stuff out there and we want to learn and we want feedback. Okay, we should want that before we start too. We shouldn't just want to learn and get feedback after we've spent weeks or months building something. That's high risk. That's very wasteful. We should want to learn early. So again, this may or may not go well, and this is where it's best if you have a manager backing you up so it's not just your fight. But I would work on learning what everybody on your team, project manager, product manager, stakeholders, engineers, get them together, run the DPKQ from episode 196, and then tell them, I can get all these questions. Any question that's in scope, I can get answered. It's just going to take me some weeks, especially if I'm the only researcher on the project. If you want to make this go faster, let me bring in more people or some freelancers or an agency or something. But that's what I would do, because ultimately, again, this is a case where they don't let us do our job, and then when we don't give them very good information, they say, well, why are you here? What's the value of research? There's huge value in research, but not if you don't let me do it. If I put a pizza in front of you and I don't let you eat it, what value does the pizza have? It will not give you nutrition. It will not give you tasty cheesiness. You will just have looked at a pizza and you'll go, okay, well now what? I'm still hungry. So if we don't give people, it's going to be pizza day here. If we don't give people great information to help them go in the right direction, they're going to say, well, what's the point? And that will make our jobs worse over time. So I would definitely do a lot more battling for more time and or more people, and reminding people, here's a board full of questions we don't know the answer to. Here's a board full of things we wish we knew before moving forward with this project. I can get these questions answered, but it means you're going to have to find something else to do while I work on that. And don't fall for the line, oh, engineers will have nothing to do. I don't think that's ever happened. Engineers always have something they can fix. They always have something they can make better, faster. They almost always have tickets in the backlog or the icebox that they were saving for a rainy day. There's always something engineers can work on. Don't let them tell you that your work just takes too long and engineers will have nothing to do. Engineers can absolutely make our search results better and our site faster and all that other stuff. Paula, how's that? Let's go back to, I see an anonymous question coming in, but first we have our question, our follow-up question from our content strategy person, and they say, thanks for your input. I'm thinking about branching out into consulting work since full-time and contract gigs are sparse. Do you have any thoughts about positioning a portfolio, website, or resume self-marketing piece could address different audiences at the same? I'd like to present a unified landing page for clients, but considering these people would be looking at different services, how do you approach that? Thanks. Okay, so first of all, hey, thanks, Paula. Give it a try. Keep us posted. LinkedIn user, who, sorry, your name isn't coming up today. Remember that when full-time and contract gigs are hard to find, freelance is sometimes also hard to find as well. So you can branch out into consulting. You can put yourself out there as a freelancer. You can put your website together. And it just still might not happen because this is the nature of what's going on the planet right now. Many people are being laid off. Many companies don't want those jobs or people at all. Or sometimes they don't want them unless they can get them for half the price. And you might say, I can't work that cheap, and that's okay. You don't have to work that cheap if it doesn't work for you. So first of all, being a consultant is not necessarily the answer. Being a consultant is just another way of saying you're going to be a contractor, because you will have a contract and they will sign the contract and you will do some sort of work for them, either as a freelancer or an agency or whatever. So let's not, pretend that Let's not pretend that this solves all the problems. As for, hi Lillian. Content person. Yeah, for some reason you're coming in as LinkedIn user. I don't know why. Sometimes stuff comes in with names, as you can see from our new friend Paula, and sometimes it says LinkedIn user. I have no control of that. I don't know why. It could have to do with maybe if we're connected. I don't even know. So anyway, back to you, Lillian, content person. I would say that you are a content person, so you have to think about who might be coming to your portfolio or consulting website. What do they need to see or read or know to say, oh yeah, Lillian's pretty good at this. Let's talk to Lillian. And so I think that you can make a website that can appeal to different people, and maybe if you have different portfolio case studies that were very different, that can help. You definitely want a homepage letting them know what your services and capabilities are. Don't save that for another page. Make sure they know right away, at least at a top level, that this is content strategy, UX writing, or it could be editing, it could be brand voice work, up to you. So I am not sure how to give great advice here, but you just have to be your own client, and you have to say, if I am a company looking for a person who does this and I land on this website, how do I make sure they fall in love with what I do and what I can do, and that we make it clear what I offer and how they can take action. How do they take action? Do they send you an email? Do they book a time to talk to you? Like, that's the key action on my website, to book a meeting, or you can also email me from my website. So I think there are different audiences, but technically, unless you have 40 different things you can do for someone, maybe you have 2, 3, 4, 5. So you might say, hey, welcome to my homepage. I do content strategy, I do writing and editing, and I do brand voice work. And then you can have like sub-landing pages explaining more of each of those and maybe leading them to case studies or testimonials or something like that. That would be my best guess. All right, let's see the anonymous question coming in. All right. This question says, that's a nice question. Thank you to the person who sent it in. We often hear from famous people, build what people want. But how do we determine what people want? Do we determine it based on whether or not they're willing to pay for our product? No, that would be way too late. By then you've built it. So no, we're gonna have to determine this sooner. Continuing on the question, on this side. If people are not willing to pay, our business is not viable. In my opinion, it goes beyond identifying a problem that people have through discovery research. My question is, how do I determine if I should build a product? What experiments can I do to understand the viability of my business? Okay, so there's like 40 questions rolled into one, and some of them are answered in my new book, Customers Know You Suck. If you haven't read it, I do recommend it. Sure. Hi, Bhavya. I think you're welcome. Hello. Let's start with this question in pieces, because this question has like 5 questions, and let's go in slow motion. So, and let me also check if I'm missing other questions, because we're probably going to run out of time. All right. How do we determine what people want? In reality, it's not necessarily what people want, because we've learned that sometimes what people want or say they want is not necessarily what works best for them. There is the completely fake, made up, not true quote about, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses instead of a car. You know, when you ask people what do they want, they tend to think inside of the box of what they believe is real or achievable or easy for your company to build. They may or may not tell you what they want. They may not know what they want. In my book, I tell a story about watching a woman in an airport really mess up gate checking her bag. Now, ultimately, she didn't know what she was doing. The process wasn't easy to understand, and she really messed up gate checking her bag. If we interviewed her afterwards and we said, how could gate checking your bag be easier? Or when it comes to gate checking your bag in an airport, what do you want? She would probably list a whole bunch of stuff that might make sense for the experience she had, but it doesn't mean it's what's right for her. She probably thinks someone stole her bag. She probably thinks it took too long to get her bag. She probably, thank you, it is a great title. She probably didn't understand the whole process. So what does she think she wants or needs? It could be very skewed. This is why we do observational research, so that instead of people telling us what they want, we learn what is going to be best for them based on what they're trying to accomplish. I think there's a good kind of correlation here. I'm purposefully on the no kids plan, but sometimes I watch people with their kids, and there's a difference between what the kid says they want and what the parent wants them to have or do. So just because the kid wants M&Ms doesn't mean the kid gets the entire bag of M&Ms or any M&Ms. So we have to take, the kid may want to run out into the street. That doesn't mean we want the kid to run out into the street. And so we have to remember that just because somebody wants something or thinks they want something, it doesn't mean it's what's best for them or what would best solve their problems or fill in something that's missing. So how do we determine what people want? Early qualitative research, preferably observational, to see how people do things now and where there's room for improvement. Because whatever it is, they probably have a way of doing it now, especially if it has nothing to do with your company or what you offer. Let's see how your target audience, your potential customers, do this now and where there's room for improvement. Do we determine it based on whether or not people are willing to pay? Not really, because here's the thing. You will sometimes hear from people, I want this thing. I absolutely want this thing. For example, I might say, look, I bought this really cool fan. Okay, it's being green screened out a bit, so you can't see all the colors. But I bought this really cool fan at Disney. It's got Mickeys and everything. And you might go, oh my God, I want that. I want one. I would absolutely buy that. And I can survey you and say, would you pay for a really cool fan with Mickeys on it? And you could go, yes, take my money. And then I go, well, here's what it cost. $18. And you go, oh, that's more than I wanted to pay for a fan. How much am I going to use a fan? I wanted to pay $4. Okay, never mind. I don't want it. So sometimes we have these surveys that say people really want this thing. They're going to pay for it. And then we find out later they don't like the price or they don't like the product we built. You have to remember, when you say to someone, do you want a fan and will you pay for a fan? You're thinking for all kinds of things. I have an electric fan blowing on me now. You could be thinking about a hand fan. You could be thinking about all kinds of things. I have no idea. But you've made something up in your head and you've decided it's so good that you're willing to pay for it, and then you say yes. So the problem is, by the time we're checking if people are willing to pay for it, it's either a really flawed survey or we've built it and we're putting it out there and we're hoping people are now going to pay for it. And a lot is riding on this, and we're in big trouble when people don't want it or don't want to pay for it. So whether or not someone is willing to pay for it certainly is a measure of business viability, but it is so late in the process. So late. Ana Lucia says, I'm reading Larry's book, and Juicero's story was a great example of lack of research. No wonder they went under in a year. Yes, exactly. And I'm sure that you could write the survey that would make it sound like people want something like the Juicero, and we could go, great, we validated it. There's a need, there's a market, people will pay for it. And then when they saw what the product was, it was like, oh no, wait, I don't need this, and the price was wild, and I won't pay for it. So you can ultimately determine business viability by if people pay for it, but you probably want to learn that way before. Identify a problem that people have through discovery research. Yes. How do you determine if you should build a product? Because from your early qualitative, observational interview, maybe discovery research, you have learned that there is an unmet need. There is a problem you can solve, and this is a problem that comes from the customer's perspective. And the customer's perspective isn't customers need a giant 1-liter cup to sit at their desk so they can drink lots of water without getting up to refill it. Not everybody wants a cup the size of their head. That's always my example. So, hello, someone on Twitch. So one person on Twitch. So, and we're of course live on YouTube and LinkedIn because this is a business show. Okay, so we're talking about identifying the problem through discovery research. Make sure it's a real problem and make sure it's from a customer's perspective. Make sure it is not from the user's perspective. I saw one recently that I was going to, hold on. Solution in search of problem. Yeah, I gotta add that to my thing. We often see the solution in search of the problem. You know, hey, I made an app for surfers to coordinate going surfing. And my research showed, yeah, surfers really want that. And then you find out after you build it, they'll just text each other. They'll just WhatsApp, whatever. So the early research, if you do it correctly, you will know if there's a problem to solve, and you will know that problem, and you will know the problem from the customer's point of view. The business's point of view is, we want users, we want them to pay, we want them to stay, we want them to buy again or use it more. That's not from the customer's perspective. Karen says, what do you mean by a real problem? So a real problem is a problem, in my opinion, that our target audience has that we can identify and write a problem statement about. So for example, do surfers need an app just to coordinate going surfing? Maybe. Do you have the research that shows that there is a hole in the market and that people are having trouble coordinating going surfing now, and that possibly the app is a solution to the real problem of surfers can't seem to coordinate going surfing with each other. If it's not a real problem, then it might be a problem we imagine is possible, but it turns out to not be real or valid. We might say, I think I'd like to do a startup where we make an app where we help surfers coordinate going surfing. I bet they have trouble with that, and we could make a cool app that'll help them. That's not a real problem or a valid or validated problem until we do the research that tells us, how do surfers coordinate now? And where is that going right or wrong? Maybe surfers have no problem right now because they have Telegram groups or WhatsApp groups or Discord servers or anything else. And we might say, gee, you know what? Surfers really have a lot of good ways of coordinating with each other and going out surfing together. There really isn't anything for us to make here. There really isn't a problem to solve. These people are pretty happy with the way they're doing it, and the way they're doing it seems to work for them. That means they're unlikely, it's possible, but they're unlikely to stop whatever they're doing and try to shift every surfer they know to your system. Because especially with a system like that relies on collaboration, the system only works when everybody moves there. It's why so many of us who have left Facebook, like I hate Facebook and I'm not going back. I wish I had something else to go to, but I can't get everybody into the same place. And I can't find a good place either. So Anna Lucy is listing all the ways surfers coordinate. Yeah. And we would know this if we did the right research with them. They'd go, oh yeah, we've got meetup groups for that, as Anna Lucia pointed out. Oh, we post to Craigslist. Oh, Jim is always in charge, and Jim posts to the WhatsApp group and everybody says who's bringing lunch. We might find that this is going pretty okay for them, and there really isn't anything for us to do here. There is no problem to solve. Really good research will sometimes tell a person with an idea or a startup or a large company, there's really no problem to solve here. There isn't an opportunity for you. So, the final question here. What experiments can I do to understand the viability of my business? If you start with really good early qualitative research that watches people do a certain task, like coordinating going surfing or whatever it might be, you can see if there's an opportunity for a new product or service in the market, or if it's pretty well covered by what's out there. For example, do we need a new project management system? There have to be 50 of them. If you can find a problem, a real problem, that is not solved by any of these project management systems, maybe you could enter into the market with something nobody else is doing. But then the question is, can you really build a business on what might be one thing, where as soon as the competitor does that, why do people need you? So you have to think about a lot more than just, business viability is a very complicated topic. I don't have time since we're ending in a few minutes, but it starts with the research that tells you, is this a real problem for anybody, or is this a fake problem or an imagined problem or something you thought might be something people need, but now that you're doing good research, you find people don't need it. I sometimes see this also in portfolios. When I do portfolio reviews, once in a while I see something, especially from a boot camp, where somebody starts out with, here's the problem I'm trying to solve, and here's the solution I invented. So they jump right away into solutions, which I don't recommend. And then they do research, and then they actually write in their portfolio, oh, it looks like my solution was the wrong thing. And then the weird thing is they go, but I'm going to build it anyway. And then I go, you just learned your solution is wrong. So really good research will probably tell us when our solution is wrong. You need a whole show on it. A whole show on whether or not a problem is real? Is that what you're saying? So I'll write this down. Is the problem real? I'll write that down. Am I doing... Everybody take a look at cxcc.to events. I'm going to tell you what's coming in the calendar. Tomorrow is a fresh webinar I am still writing for you. It's that fresh. And it's about how do we improve design sprints. Now, you're probably shocked to hear that. If you know me, you know I don't like design sprints. But a lot of people come to me and say, look, our company's doing them anyway. How do we make them better? And so I'll be taking the perspective of, if we're stuck doing them, how do we make them better? And business viability. Ooh, okay. I'll write that down, but these are huge questions. Business viability. All right. I'll write that down. So that's tomorrow's free webinar. It is not live on YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitch. You'll need to join us in Google Meet. It's free. Come to cxcc.to events and RSVP. Let's see, Wednesday the 27th, our webinar will be about service design with Ricardo Martins. So join in and ask about service design. October 4, the free webinar is about continuous discovery research. A lot of people talk about discovery research and continuous discovery, and I'm going to give you my perspective on how this should be done, which is probably going to be different than some of the other perspectives you've heard. After that, we have October 11, and our webinar is the Delta CX Impact Map. I'm calling the webinar Tie Customer Needs to Business Impact and Get More Project Buy-in. Oop, I'm blipping. Sorry. We're having a bad internet day here. But yeah, these are all free, and they're all Webinar Wednesdays coming up soon. I think we have a couple of Mondays in there too. I'll have to check. Yes, we have Monday, October 2nd. I'll be talking about high product failure rates. Should we celebrate high failure rates or do something else about them? So we've got lots of free webinars coming up. The bad news for me is I have to write all of these just for you. So it's a lot of work going into it. But again, thanks to our Patreons for helping it happen. So you can join our Patreon, our super club at patreon.com/cxcc. There is a free tier where you'll just get some updates, and then starting at $1 a month American, you get lots of stuff. All right, so I gotta run and get ready for my work day today. Some of you know I work a regular job too in the Arizona time zone. That's why these shows are often weird times, so that I'm ready for the Arizona work day. But thanks to everybody who came. Thanks for some great new questions. Thanks for subscribing. Yeah, subscribe please at CX-CC on YouTube. It's over here. I got it. And I will see everybody tomorrow on Google Meet at cxcc.to events, and we will do our design sprint webinar. These webinars run 25 to 45 minutes in general. I try to keep them shorter. They will then, the recording will go to Patreon paid members, and then 2 weeks later they'll be live on YouTube. So if you miss them, you'll catch them then. So I will play us out of here, but thank you again, everybody. Good to see many of you, and we'll catch you soon. Have a good day at work. Thank you. I will try. Bye.